Hello everyone, Man Avengers here, and it's time for the cool board. If you're new to the video, the cool board goes from yikes to wow, and we're going to see 12 different boards today. We're going to talk about, is a board cool? Is it not cool? Why or why not? This is going to be all subjective, all based off your opinion, but we have 12 candidates we'll be talking about today. Let's meet our 12 candidates for today. For today, the 12 boards we'll be talking about are the Leading Edge DC 2014, the Molly, the Equals Mountain, the Realforce 104 UG, the Heavy 9, the Hyper 7, the HB 85, the Austin, the Pingmaster, the G80 1800, the Blackbird, and the Aegis. Which of these belong in wow or cool, and which of these might have to end up in meh or yikes? Well, together, let's find out. If you're watching this on YouTube, I stream this every Thursday at between 7:30 and 8:30 Pacific time is usually when I start, and I usually go for 1 to 2 hours. So if you're watching on YouTube and you have a chance to join, follow me on Twitch, links down below, and let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start off the charge today, and I'm going to choose the Leading Edge DC 2014 as our first keyboard today. So, what is the Leading Edge DC 2014, you may ask? Well, the Leading Edge DC 2014 is definitely a unique kind of board. So it has double shot keycaps, XT layout, Alps SKCM blue switches. Pretty cool, in my opinion. It's very popular for people who like blue Alps. I have one. I enjoy it a lot. I actually have a converter for mine, so I can use mine with like a modern computer via USB, which I think is pretty cool. The blue Alps sound and feel absolutely amazing. But this layout, this board, is it cool? Personally, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's because it's still, you can still get a adapter and convert it for modern use. It still has a place on people's tables if they want a nice old school clicky style board. I think it's cool, but what do you all think? Grog Hunter, you like it? Jeff, it exists in both yikes and wow. Well, it can only be one of the two. It does have a curly cable. So I think the XT layouts are definitely going to be really hit or miss for people. I'm typically okay with XT style layouts, but what do you all think? It's cool / meh. I think it's on the cool side. Wow, if it's new old stock. Let's assume this is a good condition one, right? You're not going to show it off if it's shitty. If you get one of these and it's not in the best condition, you should definitely take the time to work on restoring it. Ultrasonic the keycaps, desolder, ultrasonic the switches, clean everything out. Clean that plate. If the plate got some rust spots, clean out those rust spots. You know what I'm saying? Make sure everything's nice and pretty, in my opinion. Mine's actually amazing condition, and I'm really happy about mine. I think it's one of the best Blue Alps keyboards. Not the best. So, some people like it, some people don't like it. It does have a numpad-ish. If you want to use arrows, you gotta hit that num lock and then use the arrows for the num lock as well as for your navigation, which I'm fine with. I know a lot of people, for some reason, don't realize the sub-legends on numpads exist for a reason. I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. Like, there's some people who just don't realize that the arrows on the numpad actually correspond to usable arrows if you have numlock off, as well as navigation. But I rarely see people actually use those for that purpose, which is wild. I use those when I have a numpad for that purpose, to be honest. But most people don't. Grog, reminds me of a period in computing when people were experimenting and it makes it cool to you. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool board. It has a nice little badge in the corner. It has a pen tray still, right? It has both a pen ledge if you have the feet out, right? But it also has, if it's flat, it has a little pen tray. So whether the board is going to be tilted up towards you with the feet, or it's going to be flat without with the feet upwards, your pen ain't going to roll away, which that's thinking ahead right there. That's thinking ahead right there. Like this Zenith board I have right here, XT layout as well. It has pen ledge, but it doesn't have the pen tray. So obviously this isn't as good. It's that simple. I'm voting cool. I'm voting cool. I don't know about wow. I'm voting cool. For sure cool. I think it deserves a pretty cool spot. I'd be okay with putting it up here honestly. The top of the bottom tier of cool. That's thanks for that sub at tier 1, Machine Yearning. 3 times as big as a minivan, therefore 3 times as cool as a minivan. So that equals cool. Well, a minivan is yikes. What's yikes times 3? I guess that would make it cool. I think okay, let's see. Among these boards, where do you think it's equal to? Do you think it's equal to any of these boards in cool? In terms of the rule of cool. No, I'm kind of okay with it where it is up there. Barely hanging on the board. Because I think it is cooler than the E7, cooler than the Zephyr, cooler than the Prime E, cooler than the Tengu, Satisfaction, Octagon, Atria, South Pole, Full Size, Moonlander, Dactyl. I don't think it goes to the next tier, but it's definitely, I think it's fine where it is right there. Jeff, same? Yeah. Here's the thing, if you're willing to show a board on the cool board, it's obviously going to be a good condition, right? So if every time I bring up like a older or vintage board or out of production board, let's assume it's in a good condition, like a legitimately good condition, whether restored or like new old box or something great. ATX, for you personally, mid-cool. Interesting. I think it's something that next episode I'm going to debate on. Next episode is when I'm going to try to have guests on. I think for now, this is an appropriate place. I don't know if it goes up to mid-cool. Because I definitely can understand why people who may not, who may say that layout is so dated, how could that be cool? I can understand that side of the argument as well. That's not like a completely wrong part of the argument, because like when you actually look at the layout and you really think about it, like what's that enter key? What's that print screen key between the 1 and right shifts? Extra points for having a caps lock at the Unix position next to A, but you know some people say minus points because it's a stepped key, which you have to be accurate and press it on the 1U to actually get to it. And some people would say they don't like that what's it called? The numpad, because there's no enter on the numpad. You have to use the alpha enter because the plus key is just a big chunker. So I can see it. I can definitely see it several ways. You like that aspect, Vagrant? Oh, the steppedness, the stepped keys. Jeff step with PP. I aesthetically, I like stepped keys like that. I don't think they're necessarily the best in terms of functionality, but in terms of looks, they are cool. They are cool. That's why I think I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna leave it here for now. I think this is a good spot. I think I'm gonna. Don't worry. Next episode, I'm gonna work it out with whoever's end up, joining me in this battle royale of keyboards. Who's gonna jump in for those loot boxes. Okay. Someone pick the next board. The first name of the board I see that's on this, we will go with. Let's be real, we can rank these boards with one single metric. How far does it bend your desk when you throw it down? It's just yearning. Pingmaster. Okay, we're doing Pingmaster from the Laugh Master. Do the pings make you laugh? I don't know. But so let's talk about the Pingmaster. Obviously, this is by IBM, and you may be wondering, did IBM actually call it the Pingmaster? No, the Pingmaster is a name affectionately given to it by the community, and it's not just one model technically. The Pingmaster is a series of keyboards, as we can see. The IBM Pingmaster is given to a name of series of keyboards manufactured in Asia for IBM by Alps Electric around 1983. So yes, they do have Alps switches. SKCC, not SKCM, so they have the weird little T stems, and as you can see, the variants are just part numbers 595433961128883, etc, etc, etc. But the Pingmaster is a very unique board. I got some really legendable keycaps. The switches are amazingly smooth. You do need to get an adapter if you want to use it with a modern keyboard. It does exist. Hasu makes one. And it does actually have a buzzer on the inside, a little volume knob, so you can actually have it buzz every time you type, which is like it's like their way to cheap out of not having a solenoid, because of course this came after like the Beam Springs, which had actual solenoids, but they're like, how do we be cheaper? And they have a small little piezoelectric speaker that goes beep 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 beep. But it's called the Pingmaster because the board can sound quite pingy at times. So how cool is the Pingmaster? Oh, so a unique thing in the community, for years, they used to be sold new old box for $35 from a seller on eBay who got like a friggin' container of them or something. All new old stock. And for years he sold them. And I think a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, he just ran out. So their price went from $35 to $300 used on the aftermarket, which is wild. For the longest time, for absolutely years and years and years, it was just like either $35 or $45 shipped. Not even like, oh, it's that plus shipping, because it's still a decently sized board, right? No, that was like the price shipped, basically. And that was an amazing time, and people totally just like, people thought it would last forever. But the thing is, with the rate the community's been going, it won't last forever, and it didn't last forever, and now you can't get it for that price anymore. Now we think the aftermarket price, you can get one like new old stock. And when it came new old stock, it came with the original box, original plastic, original instruction booklet, original little paper tabs you can print out for the re-leginables, original keycap puller. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool, but it be how it do, right? So is the Pingmaster cool? Finkeys buy his Pingmaster $250 plus shipping, and that's like an okay price nowadays. Machine learning. Pingmaster is cool because a lot of DIY mods people do for it. It's not just a vintage stock board people use as is with an adapter. Machine learning, what are these DIY mods people do? Typically, the only thing I see is people add an adapter and they just kind of use it as is. I actually don't know really about any mods people do to the Pingmaster. Vin, do you know any mods people do to Pingmasters? I was like, I'm unaware there's a modding scene or mods around the Pingmaster you can particularly do. I think the board is a great novelty. I don't really know anyone who'd daily a Pingmaster. If I'm perfectly honest, I wouldn't daily it. I have one. It's just in its box chilling somewhere. I honestly would lean it more on the meh side of things. Try to get 2U backspace. Okay, that's probably the biggest mod. Well, if you get the adapter, isn't the adapter reprogrammable? Maybe? I'm not sure if it is. Does it have a heavy backplate like IBM's? I mean by backplate, do you mean like the actual back of it? Well, I believe it's plastic. This was post having metal backplates. ATX High Meh, Laughmaster. You've seen people use Pingmaster for SKCC switch and cap harvesting, but not modding. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, because only the actual IBM made IBMs have the metal back plates. This one was, yeah, it's an Alps one. It's a not cool one. Not cool. Hi, Matt. Okay. Of these Met boards, where would you put it by? By the SP111, by the CA66, JD45. You sold a guy this keyboard bell case. He made it with a Pingmaster. Oh, I know that one. That's yeah, that's a 60% one. Yeah, that's not really modding the board. That's just harvesting. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I've been considering doing something similar myself, but I don't think those PCBs are available anymore. Yeah, the Ping Junior, which is pretty nifty. Not gonna lie. That's cooler than the stock board. I think there's a big point of contention with some like vintage enthusiasts. Is it sacrilege to buy a board just to harvest and use in another projects? Some I know some vint enthusiasts would say yes, that is. You should restore it and use it as is, and some people are like, no, it's use the parts better than it sitting around still, right? So there's definitely sides to those arguments. I think it really depends on like the condition. Like the case was like unsalvageable, but you could still like clean off the keycaps, clean off the switches, ultrasonic them. But then even if you try to put together, the case is like crumbling or the PCB is completely just, beyond saving. Then I think harvesting is the most appropriate decision. If it was like new in box condition, then I'd be on the air the side of like, why don't you use it as is or find a more beat up one to harvest, but. The caps are pretty nice. Yeah. That's a thing. Yeah, I would agree. The keycaps are pretty nice. I have the 6112883, which is the Chinese variant. I wish I had the Japanese variant, but can't win them all. Can't win them all. If you personally love typing in your Pingmaster, it's a fun board. But is it a cool board? Between the time they existed and were cheap and easy to find compared to now, I think the coolness has actually waned as they've gotten like rarer because people can't just buy them willy-nilly like, oh, that's cool, it's always available. I think now it's like, oh, I can't believe it's that much when it used to be this much, is the current mentality that people are still adapting to. So I think like the general perception of its coolness is actually gone down. That's what I think. People forget a lot of vintage boards are not very good, says Grog, and Vint replies with rejecting his reality on some. Yeah, it was cool for 50 shipped, for 35 shipped, right? But for hundreds, price obviously is a part of the coolness. If you saw one at a meetup, new in box condition, would you say it's cool, or would you be like, oh, congratulations, you bought it when they were readily available? I would think of, oh yeah, you were lucky, huh? Or you joined the hobby early enough to get one when they were readily available. That's what I would think, more so than anything. And I don't know if that necessarily that's a cool that emanates coolness. NOS is NOS, but anything over 150 is dumb due to the numbers. There's a huge amount of them. Vint is right. There's quite a bit of these Pingmasters in existence. But I think everyone's holding on, right? Everyone's pretty much diamond hands with their Pingmasters. Why? I don't know why so many people were diamond hands with their Pingmasters, but that's what it feels like. I'm also not actively hunting for a Pingmaster like someone I know, so I would pay 150 tops for a Pingmaster if I didn't have one. I would not pay a cent more. That's 150 including shipping. Okay. Pingmaster. Let's just put it in the highest tier of meh, when the bottom. I think I'll put below the Bear 65. I think this is appropriate for the Ping Master. Right? It's the highest. It's the lowest of the highest tier of meh before the cool line. I'm happy with it right there. I am happy with it right there. I hope you are too. Well, I don't think it deserves to be in the cool board. Okay. I'm going to choose... Let's talk about it. The Molly. The Molly. Is the Molly a cool board? So the Molly was by the Key Company. It was available in a variety of colors. It's basically the layout of the Apple M0110A, with a modern look to it and made of aluminum. $550. It's kind of steep in my opinion. Some people like the colors, and some people like that weight on the bottom. Is this a cool board? Does this tickle your fancy? Okay, so let's see. PCB and details. QMK compatible Alps and MX switches, which is cool. Okay. USB-C output via hub. 6061 aluminum, 7.5 pounds of built. Pretty hefty boy. Top plate mount, 7 degrees, 1.5 mil PVD brass plate. That's MX compatible and with Alps available separately for those plates. There's also a USB-A 3.1 input, which is the extra USB we saw. Yeah. Vinkeys. Effing terrible. Lowest of the low. TKC Keck. Grog. Honestly, TKC hurts it right out of the gate. Laughmaster, you're not familiar with this, how these turn out. The TKC actually get the colors right. I feel like we always have to ask every TKC product, so how did the colors actually turn out? So Vinkeys, okay, he said, TKC told Vinkeys it works with Alps, and he asked which layout it supported, and they got the answer of yes. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's not really a good answer because there's like different compatibility between like Vinkeys says, AT101 and Apple AEK. Yeah, I think Hugo had a pretty messed up one. So machine learning, it's a beautiful board. You never use that layout, but it's nice, heavy, and attractive bookend for the library. Imagine you spend $550 for a bookend. I'm sorry, but you must be a right bell end to spend that much for a bookend. So, I guess the question we gotta think about, chat. Is this a yikes board, or is it simply a very low meh? Yeah, if someone couldn't answer what Alps layout is supported, I would not buy it. I'd be like, you need to do your research. It's not even a difficult question. It really isn't a difficult question. They could just ask the PCB designer. That match is mid to low meh. Vinky says yikes. Like advertising Alps, but like not knowing a thing about it. Design meh. Maybe even bordering on cool. Execution yikes. I would put like idea cool, design meh, execution yikes, right? It's like this mountain that they've fallen off, or like they have they hit the peak with this idea, and instead of building up this mountain or building something on the mountain, they just tripped and fell down the mountain, and they just went from like cool idea, meh design, yikes, execution, just fell off the cliff basically of cool. It looked better in the renders than it did in person, and in practice, it didn't work out to their ideals. For $550, put it close to meh, if not lower. Oh, what up, Brian? What boards you missed? We've done the Ping Master and the Leading Edge DC 2014. The Leading Edge DC 14 made it in cool, and the Pigmaster made it in meh. And now on the Molly, which I think low meh, honestly, but some people are saying maybe mid meh, just because the original idea is cooler than the design or execution. We'll get to the Eagles Mountain soon enough. Yeah. So Molly. Maybe we put it below the Xeno, you know, towing that Yikes meh line. Or do you guys think it should actually be just in meh? I think that's the real question when it comes down to the Molly. Machine Yearning, you winning? Jeff is on the Yikes side. Vint is also on the Yikes side from earlier. That's a good spot. I think it's gonna be a good spot, right? Like, I think the Molly is like probably on like the same vibe as the Xeno. Oh no, not as bad as a vibe as the Xeno, but still like has that mix, kind of like you could have had something good. If we were comparing execution, Xeno is probably less of a shit show. I mean, Xenos are still shipping, so you wouldn't fully put it in Yikes just because you think the PC one actually turned out really nice. It's a 550 low meh. The design is pretty uninspired. Meh at best. This is meh at best. That means at medium, it's not meh. At below its best ability to exist, it's below a meh. Then is what 10 Peaches is saying. So I think this is a good spot for it. Just straddling the Mason-Dixie line between Yikes and meh. So let's leave it right there for now. Okay, I'm gonna bring up the next board. What are we gonna bring up next? The classic, the no longer in production, the Realforce 104 UG by Realforce. It's their high pro board, 45 gram domes. I mean, you know it. Hopefully you love it. But high pro, my dudes. High pro. So is the Realforce 104 UG a cool board? I personally think it is. Look at that. Classic Topper design. You got the forehead. You got that beautiful sculpt. You got the cable that can only go left or right. You know, you got the traditional Realforce. We only believe in having 2 rubber feet because you're not rubber foot fetishes for some reason. Screw having the cable route backwards, only left or right. Yeah, the good old Realforces. Meh at best, lowest of cool, meh to somewhat cool. I think it's cool. I don't. Why meh? If you think it's meh, I'd like to know why you think it's meh or could be within the realm of meh. That's what interests me. Because for me, this seems like obviously a cool board. But that's like the obvious fact to me. So like, why isn't that obvious to other people? Is my big question. Because I think like hands down, it's the Realforce 104 UG, baby. Lord God, they're not. Laughmaster Hypro Caps are neat, but nothing else interests you with it. Okay, that's gonna be a fair reason. 10 Beach is probably the best keyboard, for full-size enthusiasts. Jeff, it's a board people buy for the caps. Topper always cool though. Hypro is very cool. The caps feel awesome, but Topper is not very cool to be honest. Same reason the Pigmaster, it loses cool points. Grog, I think it's cool because if you wanted a newer high-profile crap board, they got your back, catering to people who were underserved. I think it's cool. I've used full-size Realforces, high pros, just like as is for a while. Years and years ago, I used to use a 104 UG like that. Just on my desk, right away. Maybe I should rebuild mine in the future. That'd be interesting. I think they're cool. I think, in fact, they're like... Let's take all these. I think it's like... You know... Right there, in terms of cool. Know what I'm saying? I think it's mid-cool. The lowest portion of mid-cool. Is where I would put it. Because I definitely understand people not thinking it's cool for a variety of reasons. I'm doing good, Gam. Thanks. But yeah, this is where I'd put the Realforce 104 UG. What do you all think? What do you all think? No other thoughts? Does Dictator Huey take this one? Looks like it. MT3 is similar, but it looks better. Feels nicer, cheaper, and MX compat. MT3 is not similar to Hypro. Hold your horses there, machine yearning. No, it does not. It does not look better, in my opinion. At least for the ones caps I have. But that's subjective. Let's just say that. Feels nicer? No. Cheaper? Yes, it is cheaper. MX compat. I mean. Yeah. Yeah, no, MT3 is closer to being a Beamspring clone than it is a Hypro clone. It's not the same category. And if you think, isn't Hypro and Beamspring the same thing? They're not. They are honestly not. But in terms of the whole package, I think it's a low mid cool. A low mid cool. I wish they would revive the Hypro line. They probably won't ever do that. I really wish they would. It would literally be printing money for our community, but maybe our community isn't big enough for the cost of that production line. I don't know. But unfortunately, it doesn't exist. You can't just buy them anymore, and that's the saddest thing. 70% of people bought this just to harvest caps. A lot of people did buy this harvest caps. Like, don't get me wrong, I have one because I harvested caps off it. You tried resin printing some Hypros? I know Idea 23 resin casts Hypros. I have one of his sets. They're actually pretty decent. But yeah, I'm gonna leave them there. I'm gonna leave them there. When I have guests on, they if they want to talk down Hypro, they'll have to scuff it out with me. They'll have to scuff it out with me, okay? Whole verbal fisticuffs. Let's bring up the next board. Okay, so someone say a board. Someone say a board. First board I see in chat, we'll go with the next one. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? G80. Thanks, Lord God. Okay, let's talk about the Cherry G80 1800. Yes, I shamelessly used one of my own photos from my typing video for this. I know. I'm so awesome. I steal my own pictures. So the Cherry G80 1800, of course, is by Cherry. It is like. I was using the video. I was. So yeah, it's PC compatible. Made by Cherry. They have special versions. But yeah, when I think about the Cherry G80 1800, I only think about, like, you know, the ANSI or the ISO layout, but, like, you know, with the 1.5s, no plate, right? No plate, of course, it has to be plateless. We got the curly cables, right? It has the big space between the numbers and the function. We got that, you know, the extra forehead on the numpad with the nav keys. For me, that's the G80 1800. The one I have is the HEU, which is the Cherry MX Clears. I think most people are familiar with the HAU, which has the MX Blacks. Ben Keys can correct me because he probably knows that better than I do. I think it's HAU most people have, the one with the MX Blacks. Next, HEUs or the MX Clears, which are slightly rare but still pretty popular. I think those are the two most popular ones in both ANSI and ISO. But has it aged well? Is it still cool? Right? If you saw one at a meetup and someone like, you know, they kept those stock beautiful double shot cherry keycap, double shot GMK keycaps. And they decided to restore it, and by, you know, lubing it up, the case is in immaculate condition. It's plateless, so it has a really nice, comfortable bouncing flex to it as you type. It sounds amazing in its plastic case. How cool is this? I think it's cool, but I don't know if it's aged well. I don't think people care about what this board means anymore. You like the G80 line in general? Not a big fan of the 1800, but just put it in cool. Okay. Obviously, for the G80 line, it's not the coolest in the G80 line. This board is pretty significant in history, right? Like inspiration for the 1800 layout custom mechanical keyboards. Yeah, there's a reason, you know, 1800 layout is named as so. We have this G80 1800. Whether or not people know that, I don't know these days, right? But those came from places. The keycaps are extremely nice. I have one, just like actually in reach. When you bought this board, you hated the pinging sound, returned it, got an FC980M, still love the look of this board, but was too lazy to mod it. Bruh, what? You returned? You should have just lubed it, my dude. Wow. Fun fact, Amon refuses to make SAR not hot swap because this board exists. Huh? Leopold is still a good choice, but come on, G80 1800, my dude. People still made PCB for these plastic housing and the keycaps. People still retrofits PCBs. Yeah, no, you can buy like I think QMK compatible PCBs for the G80 1800. You actually like some keyboard stock? Okay, you just want to keep it. Okay, that's fair. Don't get me wrong, my G80 1800 is still stock, but I do plan on looping it in the near future. I'll probably make a video on that. So yeah, is it cool? Is it cool? I think I'm too much of a Cherry fanboy to like just slap it in cool and call today. So I think I need to hear from the peanut gallery. What do you all think of the coolness of the G80? If someone brought it to a meetup, most people would walk past without looking twice. That was basically looking like a cheap plastic mech. It doesn't look like a cheap... I don't think it looks like a cheap plastic mechanical keyboard. Like the ones that are like all white or all black with those lasered keycaps are the cheap looking mechanical keyboards. The geometry of this board and the general look with all the beige looks old school. But I think it's like a very like a clean old school look, which is kind of coming back in vogue. Kind of coming in style, right? Low cool to high meh. Low cool definitely better than most everything else in meh. Layout is iconic. It's like the perfect office board. Cool. That's a cool board, okay? It's a cool board. I'm gonna put it for now. I'm gonna just... Oops, I'm not gonna stretch that. I'm going to just force it in right here. Just jam it right at you. If you disagree, you think it looks clean and stands up regardless of age, low cool. I'm low cool. Sorry, Dactyl, you're going down. Down in an earlier round. Dactyl, you should have coming out swinging. Okay, I think this is a good spot. Yeah, because I mean, if you ask me, Huey, would you rather have a G80 1800 or Realforce 104 UG? Realforce 104 UG. So I'm sorry, the Dactyl does not hold up to the G80 1800. Dactyl more like Wactyl. Thank you, Janky. Super underrated board. None of these TikTok kids would understand. I literally just learned about TikTok, other than like hearing it in conversation the other day. It's a weird thing. Yeah, we're gonna low cool. Low cool is acceptable. Okay, someone say another keyboard. I do not have the FC 980 on there yet. Oh, you like the chamfer, not chamber. Chamfer. HP 85 says Grog. Okay, let's look at the HP 85. It's certainly a very unique board. Like, look at that layout. Look at that geometry. Just look at it. It's the HP 85 by Gray Studio, baby. I'm sure people have opinions on this board. So it was a pretty, actually, I think, in my opinion, a reasonable price at $345. Right? You can get the dual tone, which a lot of people liked, getting a dual tone of this board. Right? It basically has its own wrist rests. It was inspired by the Hitbit line. Don't screw your newsletter. I want a newsletter. It came with different layouts that you can't. It's too small, but it's fine. Different colors. You get half plate, which is the cool thing. Half plate, full plate, PCB stuff. Yeah, is this a cool board? Was it going too far? It was back in 2018. It looks could be definitely polarizing. The Gams is beautiful. Blore very weird. Laughs says yikes. Grog. Polarizing look is part of the appeal. Jeff not a fan of the layout or looks. I mean, it gives you a G1 diecast Transformers vibe. I kind of get what you're saying there. Yeah. People memed on it, but it's actually a really nice looking board and not just a cookie cutter copy pasta design. Here's the thing, just because it's not a copy pasta design, is it a good design? I guess that's what it comes down to. I don't think it's a great design. I don't know, the numpad just seems like a waste to me. I don't know. Brian, this is one of the coolest boards you've ever used. Grog, you wouldn't buy it. But I appreciate it. No, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it. I find it questionable. That's what I'd say. I appreciate its existence and Gray Studios, you know, thinking a bit more outside of rectangles for the HP85. I appreciate that. I do appreciate the inspiration behind the HP85. Because the Hitbit series computers and keyboards were definitely unique. High cool, you wouldn't buy it, but price is cool. You actually like it, but you also wouldn't buy it. You wouldn't want it sitting on your desk, but honestly, you hate any numpad that removes. Exactly, I don't like numpads that aren't truly a usable numpad. If it's just numbers, then I have the number row. A number pad without mathematical functions, to me, is pointless. Although, if you have this is definitely one of the cases for this board. Like, if you look at the one on screen, is where I would argue, okay, this is why a mod pipe key is acceptable. There were several layouts, but none of the layouts had mathematical functions for the numpad, if I remember correctly. I think it was just numpad. Or just numbers. Can you use standard keycaps? I mean, everything pictured is standard. There's no weird sizes pictured, actually. Other than, I mean, 1.5U I consider standard, so still yes. Yeah, this picture is like the argument for mod pipe. But if you have used the HP85 as your argument for mod pipe, this is already like, you know, that's pretty far out there already. So here's the thing, right? It seems like a lot of people say, can I maybe appreciate this board, but don't want it. Is that escape key above too? You bet your sweet bottom dollar it is, Laugh Master. So here's the thing. I wouldn't own one. I wouldn't pay for one. But do I think it's cool? I think it has some coolness. I don't think it's aged well. But I appreciate it for being different. But I'm kind of on the same boat as everyone else who's like, I wouldn't pay for it. But it's nifty, and is nifty enough to be cool. Maybe not aged well, but it's definitely cool, says Brian. Okay. You said it was a sleeper. So what about it? For you actually using it, Brian, made it beyond what we see in the pictures and reading about the descriptions on the website. Like, what is this like? What is this tangible thing that we had to have held for it that made it different? It generally felt great. Not sure why. Maybe you're just that amazing of a Switch tuber. You just had to have typed on it. That's a kind of a cop-out answer, but a bag with switches, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. So everyone, is this a cool board? I don't know. Here's the thing: something can be cool even if you don't want to buy it, right? So maybe it does belong in like a low cool, as like people slept on this and maybe they shouldn't have. You should better answer. On paper, it's just a top mount. Laugh Master, mid meh. So Laugh, what brings it down to you? Why isn't it like high meh, low cool? Why is it just mids next to the Ping Master? Interesting. So yeah, so I definitely want to hear Laugh. Like what for you detracts it from being cool? In terms of like just the coolness, this intangible thing that we decide is cool in, you know, slang vernacular. Because we're obviously not talking about the temperature of these boards, which, since they're all aluminum, would still be cool. But that's not the kind of cool we're talking about. My favorite layout, HHKV. Totally agree with the sentiment. It got more shit than it deserved. Yeah, it definitely got memed on quite a bit when it ran, when it IC'd and ran and everything. That's for sure. I still think maybe high meh. I think high meh. I don't know if it's aged well enough to really put. I think it's a sleeper, but I don't think it's like a sleeper, and I don't think it still should be. Need to look at, but you personally would never buy one. You don't know what the other layouts Brian's talking about. There's a lot of design choices you don't like. Yeah, I really am unsure about this one. Let's go with. I'm gonna go with the highest of meh. And next week when Brian's on the show, he can argue with myself in chat on why I should have put it in cool. We'll do that. This is me prepping content for next episode. See, this is the real 200 IQ play. You'd like it more if the number pad was chopped off or expanded. You won't argue, you'll just cry. If I use it for higher, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, well, what board are we talking about next, chat? Hyper 7. Okay, let's talk about the Hyper 7. So the Hyper 7 originally was Jay's board. Now what? This has 3 rounds. Yeah, so how cool is the Hyper 7? It's literally too big for me to fit in this little window right there. Hyper 7, this is the huge thing you're looking at. Okay, let's just... There we go, let's pop that up. What am I looking at here? Do you need this many buttons? The thing I don't like is, like, look at all the modifiers between A and going outwards. Same with apostrophe and going outwards within its cluster. You don't even know what to do about the keys. It really is. It's a spaceship. It's a battleship. It's a heckin' chonker. Here's the thing. I see it literally more of a meme. Literally, I mean, it's based off a real board that existed and also had a ton of keys, but had a specific use, right? It is so busy. I don't. And it's a sandwich case too. I don't know or think it's aged particularly well. Come on, load picture. There we go. It's a meme. Is it even a cool meme? I don't know. I mean, it's ran for 3 rounds, so that's done well enough. If you have Discord Nitro, it's all good. Program all the emotes for individual keys. For real. Look at that layout. Look at that layout. Look, it comes with a bent plate and bent bottom. This keyword went all the way. DGAF, big cool points, reviving it and not only making it through multiple rounds, but also getting fully kitted by SP and cat sets. Okay, so we've got a PCB with the case. 250 euros. 250 euro to USD. That's what? $300 just about. Just about $300. Dollar reduce. Okay. That's too much for a meme. I'm sorry. I think $300 is too much for the meme known as the Hyper 7. But is it cool? I don't know. Maybe it's unique. The 300 doesn't include cat. Oh, you can just buy blanks. You can just buy blanks. Just buy a ton of SPDS8 blanks. Just buy they're 10 packs in different sizes, and you're set. That's what I would do. Then again, if you don't get the set for it, you're not completing. You're not pulling off the meme correctly, right? Like if I saw a Hyper 7 and it just had blanks or I had vomit caps, I'd be like, get out of here. Get this garbo out of here, right? Yeah, if someone had this board and they didn't have the right keycaps, it would legitimately be just yikes. Like an in-person yikes. I think it only works if you have the keycaps. Would you use it? Nope. Would you put it on your desk to intimidate guests? No, see, Machine, what you do is you don't put it on your desk. You add feet to make it its own table. It'll be the centerpiece in a meetup, but you won't buy it. I wouldn't buy it. Yeah, you add feet to the corner, so it's its own table. That's how you actually do it right. How many hours would it take Teja to lube all those stabs? At that point, he wouldn't lube. He wouldn't use stabs for this board. All those 2Us, he'd be like, nah, I'm not. No, I mean, I wouldn't lube. I wouldn't do you stabs for all those 2Us. You don't need to. You don't need to stabilize. You're just gonna reach over and go chunk, 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 chunk when you need those keys, right? But the answer is also 18 hours. I don't think it's cool. Am I just old? I think it's meh. I think it's mid meh. Like I don't think it's like it's too much effort to try to be cool. I think. Like I think it'd only be cool if it was like too ridiculous, like if it was actually a proper high pro case. It was Death Authority's board of the year at one point. That's true, but I'm also not a boomer. Sure. Yeah, I would put it under the Ping Master, honestly. It's okay, Grog, as long as you love yourself. It doesn't matter how much you hate it. That's what you're supposed to say, right? Put it next to the Pain 27. Oh, for contrasts? I like that idea. Let's do that. Look at that. Look at the difference between those two boards. Look at that difference. Isn't that wild? How many Pain 27s could you fit in a Hyper 7? Yeah, we're putting it there. It's high meh. Yeah, it's not cool anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Hyper 7. I don't think you're crossing that line. Alright, what's next, everyone? What is next to Reno? Austin. Let's talk about Le Austin. So the Austin is by Drifting Bunnies. Boop. Here's a round 2 page, okay, 6.5 degree. Sandblasted raw brass weight, raw brass plate. Remember when raw brass was more common? Like, used to be like everyone used to just do raw brass all the time before like the big wave of everything being PVD. Top mounted USB-C, E-White Turbo Gray Cabernet Red, $525. A pretty hefty board. So 75 units, first come first served for round 2. I mean, it's a nifty looking board, right? That's a nice red. I won't lie, I do not like those keys between the numpad and the main typing cluster, if I'm perfectly honest. That's what I don't like about this board, which is weird because that's like the feature of the board. That doesn't jive with me, but maybe it jives with you. Cool, but too crowded. It's like the movie twins with a keyboard. His is a wow. You're typing yours now. It's not mad, but not sure how high you'd put it in cool. What's your build look like, Jeff? What kind of switches? How does yours look? What color? What switches? What keycaps? Give us the whole rundown, bud. I do like how they have a full numpad and didn't like, try to squeeze in that like numpad and like have like a shortened 0. Like having those middle keys acting as a purposeful spacer so you couldn't do that, I guess is a nice thing. How many wires did I finish? I only finished like 2, I think. Don't worry, I have another one. USB sock, you can't find flaws. Seamless, looks great. You have navy with OG Holy Pandas and Jumke Fuyu. Ooh, okay. Ryan built one, used it for a while. It's a pretty nice board. Mod pipe argument rears his head here again. No, this is not a mod pipe. This is not a mod pipe board. Like, this is obviously just a picture I pulled from Google Images, which is probably from one of the interest checks. This is not a mod pipe argument keyboard. No, this should be an alpha pipe on this keyboard, because you already have the modified colors for the navigation keys that go in between. So the pipe on this should be alpha colored. Whoever rendered this is just no. They didn't do it right. It was a misrender. And they didn't have anyone proofread it before they published it, obviously. So unfortunate, but you know, even some of the best people who make renders make mistakes. Okay, so it's like $500+. I mean, it's fine. Was the plate a thick point plate or was it like a normal plate? I think it was a normal plate, right? Yeah, it was no. I think it was it was normal plate. You like it as much as your HBCP? Oh, that's fighting words, Jeff. That is fighting words, because like I love the HBCP. Normal plate, okay. That's some high praise if you like it as much as your HBCP. Wow. Well, I think it's above meh. I definitely think it falls somewhere in the cool. Where in the cool? I am unsure. Mid cool? Let's just reorganize this so I have some space to work with. I take all these over here and I just scooch them up. I think I would personally put it right here. Mid-high cool is actually where I would personally want to put it. I don't know if it goes one tier over to the top tier of cool. Maybe. That's something that I think you guys have to convince me on while I clean this up a little bit. But I have it, you know, between the TMO50 and the Neutron, but not on the same tier as Ogre, Key Colt, E8.5, and Singa. Should it be in that tier? Should I move it a tier up? Grog, you agree with where I have it for now? Seems pretty fair, actually. A tier up and lower than the rest. You're a bit biased. That's fair. I know. I see, Jeff. I know you like the HBCP probably as much as I like the HBCP, and if you say it's really, really good, I'm kind of like I kind of believe you. That's probably really, really good. But I think for now it's okay here because everyone's pretty much like, okay, yeah, it's pretty mid-high cool. I think we'll have to wait till next episode to see if it moves up. I think that's the real question, right? Whether or not in the future the Austin's gonna move up. Fine for what it is. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, looks like I found a pretty good and comfortable place for it. We got 4 items left: the Heavy 9, Equal Mountain, Blackbird, and the Aegis. What's happening? What board's next, folks? You decide, and I argue. Blackbird, says the Jeff. Let's talk about the Duck Blackbird. The Duck Blackbird is... It's a fun board. That's why I also think about the Duck Blackbird. I actually kind of regret I could have got the Duck Blackbird pretty easily. Okay, it ran back in 2016. Do you guys remember what you were doing back in 2016? Were you even in the community back then? It cost $360 before shipping. 30 units, 7-degree typing angle. Let's see if the duck pages are still up. There they are. There it is. There they are. I think it's pretty cool. I think they've aged decently, but I think today why get this when you should just get the Ibis, right? Or try to get the Ibis. Man, I love this image in history. Look, look, look. Proto sample, keycap, enjoy PBT. Like, this was around when enjoy PBT's like, hey, we want to prototype our keycaps too. This is enjoy PBT prototype, which you can see if you look really closely. It's not perfect, but you like the shape of the rectangle, if it makes sense. Longer and skinnier as a nice aesthetic. Yeah, the duck PCBs don't age well. I mean, they weren't even good when they released. People were already memeing about duck PCBs back then. I like the HHKB bottom row version, if I'm perfectly honest. I think that's, like, amazing. So yeah, Blackbird, cool. The question is, how cool? I think low cool. I think honestly, I think everyone's gonna say like, hey, PCB sucks, right? Everyone's gonna be like, the PCB sucks. Oh, Tony, thanks for that huge ass raid. Oh, thanks Zekin for that tier 1 sub, 18 months. Thanks, bud. Yeah, Duck Blackbird. It's not gonna go super high in the cool, but it's definitely cool. I would rate it higher than the Octagon. What do you guys think? Tony, what do you like better, Tony? The Duck Blackbird or Duck Octagon? Which is cooler? Thanks for the raid. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to my stream, where I'm just arguing to people about boards. How cool is the Duck Blackbird? That's what we're really here to find out. Blackbird's pretty, yeah, right? It's so sick. You guys are right. It's sick, but how? Joke? I swear to God, joke. Joke. We're friends, but oh boy, man, you can trigger me like this. That were very pog. Okay. Where? So this is the cool section. Okay, we go from left to right. For the more right something is, the cooler it is. Right? Here's the wowest of the boards. Right? Some of the coolest things we've talked about. Where's a Blackbird line up? I think maybe in a tier higher than this bottom. Maybe in like this mid-tier cool. No, there's a Realforce and cool though. The 104 UG, the high pro boy. You don't like it more than the Tengu, but Alice is your jam. I feel like I'm gonna catch flack for saying this. The episode we did the Tengu, I think chat overrated the Tengu. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't think the Tengu should have been that high. But apparently people at that time really liked it. I think the Tengu's overrated. I think the Blackbird is better than the U80. Here's the thing. Sir Hedge. Good point. I think it's cooler. But Duck PCB. Ducks are cool. PCBs are cool. But suddenly, when you combine those two words, duck and PCB, danger happens. That's just not a good thing. Take care, Tony. Take care. Thanks so much for the raid. That's what I'm most worried about, okay? When you have ducks and you have PCBs. Ducks eat bread, which you shouldn't give ducks bread anyways, but people like giving them bread. They swim around. If you mistake it for... If you think a duck's a geese, or if a duck's being an asshole, it's probably a geese and not a duck. Blackbird is still cool, though. It's so cool. I was actually saying I would put it below the LG Physics. I don't think it's cool as the Physics, because I don't think it's aged particularly well, but I still think it's okay. That's where I put it. Anyone want to fight me on this decision? If you want to fight me on this decision, you're probably going to be wrong, but I think this is like the bee's knees location for the Blackbird. Don't get me wrong, the Blackbird's really cool. It's not like the coolest duck board. That'd probably still have to be like the Duck Viper, in my opinion. But Blackbird would be like a pretty close second or third. Okay, we got 3 last boards to cover still. Which board are we covering next, everyone? What are we gonna argue about? Someone read me one of these boards. Aegis. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this boy. Because I'm sure people love this or hate this. It's by AE Keyboards, or I guess A boards. Bam. It's already they describe it as a contemporary classic. The Aegis is designed with the modern you in mind. We've carefully reimagined the classic and popular compact 1800 layout, adding our own design principles to create a seamless blend of functional elegance, ergonomics, and experience. This is your new workplace centerpiece. But is it? But is it? You look at this and you think, is this a cool board? If you saw this at a meetup, would you be like, huh, how unique of you? When you read it that way, it does sound like you're sniffing it apart. Empowered workflow. The board is fully programmable that runs on the QMK firmware. You know how you work best, so you can feel empowered by customizing and programming your own unique layouts. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Is this cool? If you saw this in the meetup, would you care? Or would you say, oh, this is just... eh. Has this board aged well, I guess is the main question, right? I think it's aged okay. I think, like, if this ran today, I think it would do very well, to be perfectly honest. Engraving, those are the plates, got different layouts. Dewey will love this board. It's way cooler than the G80. That's not the highest bar. Southpaw is better ergonomically. If anything, you don't know the bezel. Certainly hasn't aged poorly. It just wasn't all that to begin with. Oof. If you see this and a Blackbird next to each other, you'd probably be more interested in the Blackbird. Yeah, of course. This is. I'm sure the song's been in a commercial before. I believe that. Is it cool? Is it cool or is it meh? What does everyone think? Is this the AE? This isn't the negative tilt one. Otherwise, they would have had some kind of blurb on it on the site. I think it was the XT65. It looks like crap with the Star Wars keycaps on it. Funny you say that. This is actually Teja. This is the picture of the one that Teja Types built. Low cool says Miano. Okay. It's kind of really. Would you actually describe the Aegis as uninspiring back in 2018? Well, in 2018 is probably today. I don't know if it's uninspiring. That's tough. Low cool or high meh? Honestly, I think high meh. I think I maybe took like all this stuff in the meh, I moved it down a bit, and I made room right there. I don't know if I'm kind of like, my opinion on it is like slipping now. It's Southpaw, so kind of cool, low cool, just straddling the line. So you guys think I'm wrong for putting it in meh? You guys think it should be much, much higher? It shouldn't be in meh, and it should be in cool instead. How much was this board? I do not know. Softball's goated. I think it was Laugh Master. I think this is also my least favorite Southpaw board I've seen. I'm actually with Laugh here. Because you know what I don't like? You know what I don't like? I'll show you what I don't like. I'll show you what I don't like. I do not like. What's next to that Z key? Everyone, what's next to that Z key? Tell me. Just, oops. Let me scroll back to it. Oops. Sorry for the scrolling. But what's next to that Z key? What's next to the Z key? The size of the key next to Z. That hurts. That hurts to see. That actually hurts to see. For me, that's like, oof. I understand why they did that. I don't like that they did that. I don't like the fact that they, yeah. I don't mind the step down arrows. I just really actually don't like the ISO shift. For me, that's actually the biggest thing I don't like. I think some people also complain about the modifiers on the lower right being 3 times 1.25. Because that's not standard, right? People typically like either 1.5, 1.5, with that one being either a blocker or a key, or 4 times 1.25 if it's standard, but the 3 times 1.25 is definitely unique for spacing. To have 2 by 1.25 on the other side of that spacebar. So that's why I think it should be meh and not cool. That's my primary argument. I think it belongs in meh. Is that 6U spacebar? I think so. Someone want to count it real quick? Let's count it. 1. That's 0.75. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2.5. Yeah, it's 6U spacebar. Okay, that's like 2 good reasons to put it in meh. You go without the arrow cluster and have a full-size numpad and use HHQB arrow. I think meh. 6U spacebar and ISO left shift. That's completely high meh for me. You know what? Starting to feel. See, this is why we gotta talk these things out, right? So many of you guys were like, "Oh, this is cool. Yeah, that's a cool board." You gotta pump your brakes, everyone. It's not actually that cool. In fact, I don't even know if it's high meh. Like, I would choose the HB85 over the Aegis. I would choose the SP111. I would choose the CA66. I would probably maybe even put it down to mid meh, actually. Or, okay, where along down the column it's in should it go? I think it belongs in this column, just not that high in this column. What do you guys think? Where the SP111 is, CA66, JD45, Pain, Hyper, VEA, Bear 65, Bangmaster. Yeah, I'll put it below the HB65 for now, I suppose. Can't there's a lot of stuff ranked under the pain, including but not limited to the minivan. But that's obvious. I'm gonna leave it there unless anyone has any closing arguments on why it should be moved elsewhere. Okay. Let's move on to our next item. Look at the Heavy 9. Heavy 9 from a Mr. Ryan Norbauer. So the Heavy 9 is an aftermarket case for the FC 980C. And I guess the question is whether you think it's like the end game for the FC 980C. We actually still have some available. Actually, no, this is a pre-order shipping out of summer. $590. If you had a 980C or you have one, would you upgrade to... Would you get a Heavy 9 case? Or do you think it's an upgrade? Do you think it's completely unnecessary? Windows 11 round corners. 980C is already endgame. It's too expensive of an upgrade. I think it's definitely very pricey as an upgrade as well. I think it has been typically received very well by the people. But if they're paying that much, they should be happy. You want to get one, but you realize you don't want to... It's a board. If you had a 980C, it's a 980C you'd leave at home. Not one you'd bring to work because you want the plastic, a durable plastic case to move around with. If you prefer Topra, whatever layout, you'd probably want a Norbauer case. Yeah. You think everything Norbauer makes looks wow, but you wouldn't be able to bring yourself to buy one? He does have pricey products, but if you love them, you really love them. If you don't, you don't. So how cool is the Heavy 9? Is this cool? Does this move your heart in any way? Does this make you appreciate your board even more? The board makes you swoon. Belongs and cool. If you got a FC 980C, it says 10 features, you're probably a beater board at work, too expensive to upgrade. I think the finish options are really cool. Is a board? I think it is cool. Even if it's something I wouldn't buy myself, I still think it's kind of cool. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool still. Let's make some space. So this goes there, up, up. Yeah. After we finish with the boards for today, we can definitely review the boards and I can show you guys whatever you guys would like to see on the board. I'm just gonna do some organization so I can fit it where I think it should go. I think it should go right here, above the Zephyr, below the E7. Machine Learning. You love the Norbauer aesthetics. His packaging presentation is immaculate, but not actually a huge fan of how his boards feel, stress, sound. Well, does that play into what you think is cool or not? If it's in the lower column, so everything on my board goes from left to right, from yikes to wow, before it goes from down to up. So, for example, if you look at cool, we have 3 columns, right? Everything in the leftmost column, for example, is less cool than anything than the bottommost one in the middle column. right? Like, even though the NK65 is all the way up here, it's one column left of the leading edge DC14. So it's less cool, but it is still cooler than everything below it in its column. So it goes column priority, then row priority. So I think it's in the lowest tier of cool, but within that lowest tier, I think it's pretty up there. That's where I would put the Heavy 9. I think it's a pretty good spot to put it. Yeah, I think I'm happy with it right there. I think that's acceptable. And what is that? Anyone else think it should be higher or lower? It's like one of those things I wouldn't personally ever want to own it, but I appreciate anytime I see it at a meetup. Laugh Match, you think it deserves higher? Okay, why and where? Like, higher within its tier, or to the next column, and why? I usually post the charts at the on my Discord and on Keep Talk after every episode. I'm working on gonna have an online, like, permanently available viewing chart for people. That's just not set up yet, though. But I'll have one too. After we finish all the items for today, I can definitely go. We can go through all the stuff I've had up. Next episode, I'm gonna have some guests on to argue about replacing something or moving some things around. But yeah, we have, some things in WoW, some things in Cool, a lot of things in Cool and Mad, a few things in Yikes. So waiting for the day someone buys a Norbauer case and doesn't realize you need it. I don't know, I feel like you have to be pretty into the community to learn about, like, Norbauer products. Middle column at least. Middle column. You know what? Okay, middle column. Let's do this. Let's do this. I seem like a real stickler on build quality. Why is it the HHQs my favorite boards? Well, I mean, the plastic housing itself, especially the new generation, is pretty high quality, actually. I mean, it also depends on the aim of the board. The HHQB for a travel board, I would say, is actually pretty high quality. The tolerances for the HHQB are pretty high quality. The typing feel and sound of the new generation of HHQBs, pretty high quality. Layout, good. I like the typing feel. There's a lot about the I'll probably do another video about my when I get my heavy grail case in and I can finally build my ultimate HHKB. I can explain everything about that, A to Z. Okay, heavy 9, bottom of middle of cool. I'm happy with it there. Okay, let's talk about the last board today. The Equal Mountain. Let's talk about the mountain. What do you guys know about the mountain? You guys know much about the mountain? It was by C3. It was back in 2018. You guys remember what you're doing in 2018? So it's unique because look at that back. Look at that back. That back weight texture. Meaning the back story on this one. Where there's the back. Boom. Psh, got him. It has its own little OLED screen. Look at that screen. Look at that screen. How does that screen make you feel? Is that screen cool? Remember when group buys used to list all the users who bought it and their configurations publicly? So it was $560 plus PayPal plus shipping. So essentially it was $600 for this chonker of a full-size board. Let me see the check anything difference. Is it a cool board? What do you all think? I think C3 PCBs are also kind of bad in my opinion. Ryan, this board is undeniably cool, and no one can convince you otherwise. Bath, you remember the IC back in 2016? You completely missed the group buy. Camino, the screen reminds me of a Realforce badge. Ryan, custom full size is badass at this time because it never happened, still barely does. Jeff, you feel nothing. Full size is cool, but on an OLED. Very few full-size customs have done it better. The screen brings it down, but otherwise it's cool. Grog, as soon as you saw underkey lightning, you wanted to vomit. Well, that's just yeah. Oh, man. I think the screen is lame. It's cool. Doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if the dinosaur argument applies with the equal amount, right? Like dinosaurs are cool because they don't exist anymore. If dinosaurs existed and ate people, that would be scary, not cool. I don't think the equal mountain is like, oh, it's a fossil. It's cool because they don't exist and the idea of them is cool. I don't necessarily agree with that argument for the equal mountain. I don't even know if it's that cool. Why is it cool? Why would it be cool? I'm trying to think. I cannot fathom it. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. It was a top mount plate, for anyone wondering. I think the coolest part is that textured back. Is probably the coolest thing I had going for it. How's the equals mountain compared to TX108? I would probably get the TX108 over the equal mountain because I do not trust the PCBs that C3 put out. The back of the board, that back weight, is probably the coolest thing about it. And probably, in my opinion, the only thing it's got going on. I don't think the back carries the rest of the board. I really don't. The screen looks super dopey and detracts major cool points. I agree. Big agree. I would personally say highest of the meh. If I saw it at a meetup, I would not care about it one bit. I would look at it and be like, meh. And keep on walking. Yeah, you heard me, Brian. You heard me. Laughmaster, the backweight is awesome. You don't like judging coolness based on something you only see if you're displaying it instead of using it. I went mid-meh, honestly. I'd put it like right here, below the QXP and above the modern M0110. That's where I'd put it. I don't even know if it's high meh. Like I think it was just such a forgettable board. Brian is the only equal mountain stan I know. The coolest feature is a permanently hidden aesthetic. To be fair, people say the same thing about the Time 80 V1 and V2, which will be an interesting discussion when we get there on if that board is actually cool. Yes, mixed opinions, right? Yeah, I'm gonna leave the Equal Mountain in mid-meh for now. And if anyone wants to take the mantle of if it's really cool, we'll find out. Here's the thing, the back is cool, but I don't think it carries the rest of the board enough. Higher than you thought I'd give it? No, I think it's. I mean, I don't. There's nothing like. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the board that makes it like particularly uncool. It's just completely forgettable. Yikes are things that like I would actively dislike. The Eagle Mountain to me is just like completely forgettable, and that's why it's just meh. If it didn't have that screen, Laughmaster would argue it belongs in cool. It would be cooler without the screen. I agree there. It'd be at least one tier higher in meh if it didn't have that screen. But alas, it does. And those are the 12 items we've covered today. Let's go through those. Did anything make it in WoW today? No. But in the cool section, the coolest item we covered today was the Austin, followed by the Blackbird, and then the Realforce 104 UG, and then the Leading Edge, and then the Heavy 9, which got like a triple combo right there. And then the G80 1800, also in cool. And then for the meh section, we got the HV85, the Aegis, Hyper 7, and Pingmaster, as well as the Equal Mountain. And those are the... Oh, and then between Yikes and Meh, the lowest rated item we have today is the... Oops, sorry. Is the Molly. So yeah. Here is the cool board. The board of cool, you know what I'm saying? Covered quite a few things in the cool board so far. And it keeps growing on and growing on and growing. Planning on having some guests next episode. Thank you everyone so much for joining. I'll do my little YouTube outro, and I'll chat with chat for a little bit. For everyone who's been watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. And hey, this happens every Thursday, so hey, hit that follow button for the stream if you want to see when I'm going live every Thursday for the cool board. And I also do some extra random streams from here to time, here and there. So yeah, thanks everyone on YouTube for watching, and hope to catch you guys in the next YouTube video. Don't forget to keep on keyboarding.